Fantasy Blitz, I'm Nick. No BS, just Blitz. We're going to talk about running backs that are going to give your fantasy team blue balls during this season. You don't want to draft them too high. You may not want to draft them at all. Let's get into it. First up, we've got perennial favorite, Josh Jacobs. Now look, I personally like Josh Jacobs. I'm a Raiders fan. It's a time of change in Raider Nation, and Josh Jacobs may not even be a Raider by the end of the preseason, and he may not even play in a couple games. He's holding out right now for a contract. I hope he sticks with the Raiders, but look, the guy has an ADP of about 16. People are taking him high, but he's inconsistent. He's streaky. He's got problems with setting a floor. No one really knows where his floor is. He doesn't have a high floor if he is going to set one. So having him be your 16th overall pick is dicey in our opinion here at Fantasy Blitz. Not the best pick early on in the draft like that. There are better options out there, but Josh Jacobs is still a stud. He's still an RB1, but be careful with how much you're investing as far as your pick space goes in Josh Jacobs. Last year, of course, had an incredible 328 points in PPR. Probably will do something similar, but again, a lot of changes happening in Vegas. He doesn't have as much shine on him right now. I'll go ahead and I'll make a prediction. He will barely break 300 this year in PPR leagues. 10-team leagues. Anyways, let's move on. Actually, just kidding. Before we move on, you think you're going to get this for free? No, there is a fee for this information, and that fee is hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the notification bell. We appreciate it, okay? We're a brand new channel. We're trying to bring you fantasy information, fantasy football data as soon as possible, quickly, so you can make the right decisions for your team. Let's move on. Who's next but good old Tony Pollard with an ADP of around 22. Look, things, again, this is another changing team situation dynamic we have with Tony Pollard, okay? He was the handcuff to Zeke. Now he's got his own handcuff. Yeah, he's the RB1 in Dallas, but he's got his own handcuff with Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is probably going to vulture a lot of his yards, a lot of his touchdowns. Mike McCarthy likes the two-headed dragon approach to doing running backs. It follows that Mike McCarthy is going to do the same thing with Tony Pollard. Don't take him. 22 is too high to be taking Tony Pollard if you can get him. He had a decent showing last year in fantasy points. These are PPR points, 248. That's nothing to sneeze at. But if you can get him in the high 20s / early 30s, you've got much, much more value out of Tony Pollard this year. And look, when it comes to Dallas, we don't know what it's going to be like there right now.
Emotional damage.
But I can say with confidence that it's going to be another unsatisfying year in Dallas. Moving on. We've got perennial favorite, bell cow, Travis Etienne Jr. is on the Jags. I like him. He's a great player. But taking him in the 33rd pick would be not the value that you are looking for when it comes to an RB that is facing the headwinds that Etienne Jr. is facing. The guy only had 5 touchdowns last year, and yes, Trevor Lawrence is still with the Jags. We are expecting a little bit of a glow up for T-Law this year. But look, when it comes to the Jags and it comes to Etienne Jr., you're looking at a better flex option than just raw running back talent. I'm not talking about his actual football talent. I'm talking about your fantasy points exposure. Etienne Jr. is probably not going to get you as many points as you want. Last year he had 205, which is kind of mid-tier. So probably see a little bit of a bump up as he's gotten more and more experience. And he kind of jives with Trevor Lawrence a little bit better. But with only 205 points in PPR last year, taking him as a 33rd pick, that's too much, okay? High 40s, I would say. Mid to high 40s for Etienne Jr., but that's about it. Next up, J.K. Dobbins. Yes, he's been suffering some injuries. Yes, he's on the Ravens. Yes, Lamar Jackson can run. So being paired with a mobile quarterback nerfs your running back points potential in fantasy football. Do not forget that. If there's a mobile quarterback, why are you going to run the running back as much? Why not spread it around a little bit? J.K. is one of those running backs that you can stash on your bench, and he's a lock to fill in for bye weeks or for injuries because his floor is pretty high. That is to his benefit. But if you're taking him as 48th pick, which is what his ADP is right now, that's that doesn't wash, okay? You're leaving more value on the draft floor. You can take him even just a few picks later, and you're going to find better value later on. But J.K. Dobbins, a steal around like 55 or so. That's a steal for J.K. Dobbins. Solid bench player or flex, depending on what your structure is. Again, here at Fantasy Blitz, we mostly do PPR. Everyone does PPR, but that's the numbers that we're talking about. We're talking about PPR numbers. Last year, he did a respectable 249.7 points in 10-team PPR. So, again, solid running back, but don't get sucked in. Don't buy the hype. Take him as late as you can. The fifth and final pick, Ramondre Stevenson. Now, look, running backs and Patriots equals what the hell's going to happen. It's always been difficult to ascertain what the frick Bill Belichick is going to do on any given Sunday or Thursday or Monday or Tuesday with his running backs. But Ramondre Stevenson, he has the skills, but will he be put to good use in Bill Belichick's offense that is run by Mac Jones and the Mac Nation? We don't know. We think 24 is way overvalued. ADP of 24, way overvalued, okay? We need to be looking more around like, let's think of it this way. ADP 24, that's like Louis Vuitton. That's Gucci. We need to be thinking more like Kohl's prices, okay? We're not talking about great value Walmart, but we're not even going to designer. We're looking at discount, okay? And it's not to say anything about his play or him as a person. This is simply he's on the Patriots, and you cannot trust what the frick is going to go on with running backs at the Pats. 24 is insane. You're smoking the crack if you're taking him as your 24th pick. He did have a very respectable 249 PPR points last year. So look, the guy can ball out. But 24, you guys are smoking it. Look, that's all we've got. Those are the RB picks. Don't let them blue ball you, okay? Don't get sucked in. Don't be some homer who's taking people that shouldn't be taken in high value rounds. Those first 50 picks are the picks that can make or break your team. This is Fantasy Blitz. No BS, just Blitz.